all across the nation, really. Sexual assault is something that is most underreported, yet most impactful on the victims of any of the crimes that can be committed. And as a community, we need to come together and to organize not only treatment for the victims and response for the victims, but also criminal pursuit on the perpetrators to bring them to justice. So it's my privilege to be here with you today and to present this proclamation to the people organizing this event. And as Mayor of Chillicothe, I hereby declare April as the Sexual Assault Sexual Assault Awareness Month, so that we can take a fight to this and put an end to this horrific crime against mostly females. So thank you for having me here today, and nobody twists an ankle while you're walking there. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, I just want to say that it's really exciting to see all of you here today to be part of something that's so important. As the mayor referenced, sexual violence happens, and it happens here in Ross County, and I think sometimes it's too easy for us to forget that or not pay attention, because I think we often see perpetrators of sexual violence as those people who are hiding in the bushes, but it turns out that most perpetrators of sexual violence are actually people that we know and trust. And so we really, raising awareness and doing this today is really important to kind of getting that message out there about how sexual assault happens. So, sorry, the sirens, this is great. Last year at the emergency room in Adena, the same program served 125 survivors of sexual violence. And what we know is, and so that's about 2.5 survivors a week reporting to the hospital saying they've been sexually assaulted, and that's adults and children. The youngest child we served last year was a 7-month-old infant. The oldest person we served last year was 80+ years of age. So sexual violence happens to everybody. And what we know is that 60% of sexual violence goes unreported. So for all of those cases that we saw last year, there's at least double that. We can kind of double that number. The other thing that we know is that 15 out of 16 rapists will never spend a day in jail. And so part of that is because of community education, part of that is because of under-reporting, and part of that is just because the way that the criminal justice system works. So, but it is absolutely unacceptable. So your attendance here today helps us in a couple of ways. First of all, it raises awareness in our community about sexual violence. A podium would be great, right? You're helping educate our community. You are sending a message that you will not tolerate sexual violence. That no means no, no matter how you say it. That it's never the survivor's fault, and that it's time to hold perpetrators of sexual violence accountable. Also, we're raising money. So the money that we raised last year, we raised about $2,000, went to help start a volunteer program this year at the hospital so that survivors of sexual assault will have an advocate to support them, a volunteer advocate to support them when they come to the emergency room. That's a service that Ross County once had, but hasn't had for the past few years. So the money we raised last year went to some of that training and also went to provide resources to support our survivors. So clean clothes, so that after an exam, when we collect their clothing as evidence, they have something to change into. Toiletries, so that after an exam, they can take a shower. And information packets, so that as they, when they leave the hospital, they have information that they can look at and find, and be able to find resources to get the help that they need. So we raised quite a bit of money last year, and our hope is that this year we can raise more and can continue to use those funds in that way. I want to recognize some of the different agencies that have come out to support us today and some of the groups. We have folks from Adena, so if you're from Adena, you know, let's clap a little bit or something. There you go. We have several folks from the Department of Rehabilitation and Correction, and I just think that's awesome. We have folks from the Sheriff's Department, from the Prosecutor's Office, many community members, the Child Protection Center, and then we have the SANE nurses and the volunteers for the Southern Ohio Survivor Advocate Program, as well as all of you folks and wherever you're from. So we're really grateful that you came out. So there is more that you can do to support survivors of sexual violence if you decide to do it, you know, more than the walk. You can volunteer to be an advocate. You can donate more money, or you can donate new clothes, new stuffed animals, or travel-sized toiletries. All of those things are really important. The next thing on our agenda before we walk is we have one of the SANE, the sexual assault nurse examiners, is actually going to read an anonymous survivor statement. So I'm going to turn it over to Lacey.
All right, here we go. Was I really raped? Bear with me, my paper's a little bit crumbly from the rain. I remember the day like it was yesterday. We went to dinner in the mall in Lancaster, Red Lobster to be exact. During the evening, we talked and flirted, some things pretty risque. He made many comments about sex, and I giggled nervously. I was 16, inexperienced, I hadn't dated much. There really had only been one other boy, and boy was the operative word. I didn't want him to know that I was inexperienced. I thought he would think I was too young, immature, or dumb. I mean, he was 18 after all. I had a curfew. It must have been 11 p.m. We left the mall early. He said, let's go to Great Seal. I really didn't want to go, but felt immature and stupid, so I agreed. I thought we'd kiss a bit, maybe some touching. I was nervous, but I thought I could handle myself. Boy, was I wrong. We parked, facing the swing set, in his truck. We kissed a bit, and then he asked me to do it. I said no. I'd never done that before, didn't want to. He seemed disgusting to me. He continued to push the issue, begging, telling me that he bought me dinner, so what did I expect? He told me I was immature, stupid, that he should have never gone out with me. I felt immature and stupid, so I gave in. Now I know this is coercion. I didn't know that back then. I started to do it, but immediately wanted to stop. He held me down, forced me to continue. Just writing that makes me want to vomit. Afterward, he told me that I needed practice, like I had been seeking feedback about my performance. Hardly. I now wish I had bit him. He drove me home, acted like we were fine. I suppose he was fine, but I wasn't. When he dropped me off at home, he said, I'd kiss you good night, but he treated me like I was gross and disgusting. Was I gross? I felt gross, stupid, naive. I berated myself because I couldn't even take care of myself. It was disgusting, and I was disgusting. At school the following Monday, I told a teacher. She listened to me, but did nothing. I told a friend, she left it off, told me not to be so immature. I didn't tell my mom, I couldn't. I had been in trouble for going to Great Seal in the first place, so I kept it quiet, held it in, replayed it in my mind 1,000 times. Was it rape? Was I raped? It felt like rape, but I didn't know. I just knew it was awful and I felt gross. He called me several times the next week, and I didn't take his call. Finally, I answered and told him I didn't want to see him anymore. He stopped calling. 18 years have passed and I am much smarter now. Now I know he cursed me, and the point that I tried to stop and he held my head down. It was rape. But I still think it's my fault. I shouldn't have gone with him that night. I shouldn't have allowed him to take me to Great Seal. Still, when I think about that night, I want to vomit. I feel nauseated and I feel disgusting. I still hear his voice in my head. I think I will always feel that way. I was innocent back then. I didn't drink, didn't use drugs, got good grades. I was a good kid. In the years following, that all changed. Not immediately, but over time. I was a whore, I slept around, I let guys take advantage of me. I defined myself by how sexy I could be. I began this downward spiral that led to years of drugs and alcohol abuse, promiscuity, bad grades in college, hell, I even dropped out, depression, and on and on and on. I think about where I'd be now if that all had been different. Likely I'd be a medical doctor or physical therapist. Unfortunately, those things require good grades. Forrest Gump was playing in the movie theater back then. As a matter of fact, that's where he took me on our first date. I still can't watch that movie. It repulses me, reminds me of him. Too much of my life was wasted on him. The hatred and self-loathing I had kept in me is really a terrible place. For so long, I questioned myself. Now I know, it's not me, it's him. I'm not gross, disgusting, or any of those things. He is. He is the one that should have trouble looking in the mirror, not me.
Thank you, Lacey, very much for reading that. And I'm Jamie Myers, and I'm the sexual assault coordinator at Adena, and I get to do the fun stuff, so I'm excited after all of that. We had some judges walking around in the crowd, and we have 5 different contests that we're going to judge. Each of those, we pick 2 people, so I need the audience's help to help us decide out of those categories who wins. So when I call your name, come up here, and then we will do it by round of applause. So the first contest was Best Strut. And so can I have Sandeep and Steve Keating please come up to the front? Step to the front of the room. Come on, boys. And she called that Best Strut? Okay, can you do just a little walk for the crowd, please? Just so they can see you, so they can vote appropriately. Come on. So when I call their name, we're going to do this by applause. So first, if you want Sandeep to replay. One more time. Come on. Back across. Go on. So if you want to vote for Sandeep, please give me your applause now. And Steve Keating. And Sandeep wins. Thank you. Thank you guys very much for being good sports.
You're getting pretty good at that.
And the next one is Highest Heels. And down in Wellston, Ohio, where I'm from, we spell it H-E-A-L-S, just so you know, that's what the trophy says. So, can I have Mike McCorkle and Keith Gray please step up to the front?
You have to go up. Oh, yeah.
Be careful, guys. Be careful.
You got to take the...
Oh, you have to walk up. I'm going to go all the way up.
Can everybody see the height on these heels? So this is Mike. If you want to vote for Mike, please give me your applause now. And what about Keith Gray? And Keith Gray is the winner.
That's scary.
While I'm giving them a minute to get down, I want to call up the next ones, and this is for most original. Can I have Dr. Scott McCallum come on up? And Travis Holden. And both of these gentlemen brought their shoes from home. They are professionals at this walk and participate every year. So if you want to vote for Dr. McCallum, can I hear your applause now, please? And Travis Holden. And Travis is the winner. Thank you, guys. Our next category is Prettiest, and may I have Ralph Metzger and Andy Edler please come on up. This is going to be a tough one. Andy is in the gold, Ralph is in the silver. If you want to vote for Andy, let me hear your applause now, please. And Ralph Metzger, hear your applause. That was a tough one. Let's try it one more time. Andy. And Ralph. I'm sorry, Ralph takes that one. And that was for prettiest. Thank you guys very much.
Good job, fellas.
And our last contest before we get this walk underway is most outrageous. And the two that we picked for this is going to be Doug Cochran and Walter Smith. If you two could please come forward. Doug Cochran and Walter Smith, please. Walter here is in the orange, and Doug is in the silver classic, I don't even, strappy sandals. So I think they're both pretty outrageous. So if you want to vote for Doug, let's hear your applause now. I pointed to the wrong one, Doug. And Walter, let's hear your applause. And Walter takes it. Thanks a lot, Walter. And I really want to thank everybody for coming out. This really does mean a lot to us and our community. We're going to go ahead and get the walk underway, and then we have water in the park. If you've left your shoes here, they'll be safe. Feel free to come back and get them. Just go ahead and get lined up behind the cruiser, and he will escort us to the park.